Hi, I'm Susan Kerns, the Executive Director of Milwaukee Film.
And I'm Cara Ogburn, Artistic Director at Milwaukee Film.
And we're going to have a little chat today about the Dialogues Documentary Festival presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel, taking place September 18th through 21st.
Our Dialogues Documentary Festival is a captivating celebration of nonfiction storytelling. We do this to make sure our Milwaukee audience gets to get in touch up close with topics that matter to them, and to also bring filmmakers here to connect with our really incredible audience.
Dialogues is really the perfect place for cinephiles to connect with diverse stories from around the world while kind of cozying into autumn with a 4-day film festival.
So let's get started.
All right.
So Susan, during the pandemic, we all watched Tiger King at home. But what makes seeing a documentary in the theater even more special than sitting on your couch and watching at home?
Well, I think one of the neat things about seeing a film with an audience is that you get to gauge other people's reactions. So obviously, if you're watching something like comedy, everything becomes funnier because other people are laughing and you're feeling that energy of the laughter. But even with something like documentary, when you're experiencing somebody's personal story, you might hear other people responding to that story in ways that affect how you're also responding to that story. So sometimes it is laughter, sometimes it's tears, but sometimes it's other comments like, oh, you can hear people sort of like, oh, I relate to that, or oh, like that happened to me. And it immediately makes the story that you're seeing on screen personal to the audience that you're with. So I think the reverberations of those stories just grow greater and greater the more people you have with you.
Yeah. And with Dialogues, of course, we also get to have some of those conversations right after the film.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the great things about this festival is that it's been really curated so that we have people coming in who can speak not just to like the larger issues of a story, but also what's happening locally. Like, how can I take this story from another part of the country or another part of the world and really understand how to think about it in a local context? Or if it's presenting a problem, what can I do? How can I be part of the solution?
Absolutely.
So, Cara, in your opinion, what makes nonfiction storytelling or nonfiction filmmaking as compelling as fiction filmmaking? And do you have any examples from this year's festival?
Yeah, well, as you were saying, I think documentary really gives you the opportunity to see real stories and to find human connection, often with others that you may never get to meet, but you find sort of a commonality, whether that's in being a child or whether that's in having a first job or a first love or different kinds of human experiences. I think there's that opportunity, which invokes the exact same emotions that fiction does, but also giving you access to places that you may never have visited, you may never get to go in our world. Makes the world feel both smaller and bigger at the same time. A couple of examples. One is our Shorts Silver Linings program, which is about aging joyfully, because I don't know about you, but we're all aging and we want to do it joyfully. So that's a really great opportunity to think about elders and to think about our own aging process and how we can do so more healthfully or more joyfully, get inspired by the folks in these films. And then to the second point, I am never going to get to go in a deep sea submersible, but in the documentary, How Deep Is Your Love, you get to experience scientists experiencing this place that they also are not physically going to understand what life is happening in deep sea trenches. And it's an abundance of curiosity and scientific joy. What kinds of conversations do you hope are sparked by our Dialogues audiences attending this festival this year?
I hope they're conversations that people haven't had before. And that's what I think is really special about a festival like this. You can walk into a film really not knowing what it's about, or maybe not having familiarity with the topic or the participants in the film, and learning something new about the people in it, the topic in it, or really about humanity. And I think that that's what's so exciting about Dialogues Documentary Festival, is that you never know what you're going to get and how it can actually inform the way that you then approach life, like coming out of that movie theater. And Cara, what can audiences expect from the Dialogues Documentary Festival this year in terms of themes or special events?
Yeah, well, each year I think the themes are going to emerge from what's timely, what filmmakers need to tell stories about. And this year is no different. In terms of special events, I can tell you about a couple of films. The first is Just Sing, which is a documentary about competitive collegiate a cappella. It focuses on the SoCal Vocals, which are USC's competitive collegiate a cappella group. But instead of bringing them in, we've got that talent right here. So we're going to have performances from two of Milwaukee's own collegiate a cappella groups, and then they'll be talking about what in the film resonates with their experiences doing that kind of activity as an out-of-school and extracurricular. And then on kind of a different angle, something a little bit more serious, we will have the local animated documentary Malignant Practice, which tells the story of the filmmaker's own family and their challenges getting accurate diagnoses of breast cancer and their journey through that. And then afterward, we're going to have all of those folks in the film, as well as some local cancer advocates, really talking about what's happening in this kind of thematic space, what's important happening now in medical research for women, and how women can kind of advocate for themselves.
Great.
So Susan, I'm interested in hearing kind of from your perspective as a scholar of film, what has changed in the documentary field? What's new? What are filmmakers doing now with the form?
Well, I think one of the interesting things, in speaking to Malignant Practice, is that more filmmakers are inserting themselves into documentaries to tell their own personal stories. And we've seen that, over the years through somebody like Michael Moore or Ross McElwee with like something like Sherman's March. But with something like Malignant Practice, it's like taking a personal experience, exploring something through it that feels very personal and also resonant with the community, with the world, with the topic of women's health care. And I'm just seeing that more and more and more, and done in really interesting ways. So I'm excited that people are feeling like documentary as a form is a way of sort of diaristic storytelling. Another thing I think is really interesting is how people are using documentary to kind of interrogate the past as well. We Are Pat is a really good example of this. If you remember the Pat character from Saturday Night Live, which at the time was played for laughs, but has also come to resonate with trans identities and queer identities in different ways over the years. And so the creators of that character are taking this moment to take stock of like, what did they do and how has the relationship to that character changed over time, and maybe like what would they do with that or not do with that character now. So it's really funny, but it's also really interesting and opens up these interesting dialogues, as it were. So do you have any examples?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also like, I think filmmakers are more aware that, like, as a documentary filmmaker, they aren't the arbiter of truth. They don't get to have kind of journalistic distance necessarily. And so by being part of their own story, I think it brings us closer, oddly, to that process and to understanding our experiences are valuable as well. So thanks for listening to us dialogue a bit about dialogues. If you want to dialogue even more, we'd love to see you at our Friends and Family Preview Night on September 10th at 6 p.m. at the Oriental Theater, where we'll tell you about more of the 30-something programs that we're going to be showing over those 4 days. Tickets and passes are on sale now on our website, mkefilm.org.
And for this year, we're making our passes very affordable to people. If you are a member of Milwaukee Film, passes are only $50 for the festival. If you are a non-member, they are only $65. So that gives you a risk-free way to enjoy 4 days of films. We hope to see you at the Dialogues Documentary Festival, presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel, September 18th through 21st.
See you at the movies.